Okay, Sarah.
Okay.
So we're gonna talk about this painting that I did.
Which means
It's
pumpkins?
got a robot.
It's
It's
a
got a
pumpkin,
pumpkin.
right?
It has it all.
Okay. That's
Everything you
real.
could want in a painting.
Okay.
It's right here.
Okay.
So look at that intro. It's a nice intro. Who did that? I did the intro. So yeah, for this I'm starting with a line drawing here. Sometimes I don't start with line drawing. Sometimes I do other stuff instead, like just start painting. But I didn't do that because I kind of I knew like what I wanted. I want a robot, I want a pumpkin, and I wanted like a little person, like maybe on a guy's shoulder, robot shoulder, or like maybe somewhere else. But like I knew what all the elements were. I was just kind of moving them around. That's why doing a line drawing was good because like it's really quick. And I can just kind of move all the elements around really quick there. Kind of test out different things, see what would work. See there, I'm trying to get like a lower horizon line to kind of be looking up at stuff that none of these worked so well, but I get there eventually, slowly but surely. There's drawing a pumpkin there. That's like a windmill. Yeah, this is so interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, I see you're doing like a field of pumpkins.
Yeah, that's what that is. Because I figured I don't want the pumpkins to be like floating up in the air. So why don't I put them on a field? Is what I figured, and so that's what I did. There I was saving it. That's very important because if you don't save it, then it just goes away when you quit, and that's not good. You don't want that.
That would be a bummer.
Uh huh. I guess I spent some time on this. Oh, there I go with the new one. This is sped up about 500%, by the way, and it's still pretty boring to watch. Like when I'm painting, it feels like I'm painting a lot faster than I am, but I absolutely can't bear to watch my own recordings played back in real time. They're way too boring. so, so yeah, this is bad. Here's the robot, like from the back, maybe. It's kind of squat, but it's just at an awkward angle, and I'm moving him around. It's not working.
He got fatter.
Yeah, he did get fat, and then the pumpkin got bigger. Then I'm like, where am I gonna put the person? Actually, I could have put the person like on top of the pumpkin. That would have been cool, but I didn't do that. I did something else. My line work isn't very good either. Some people have like really nice line work with nice line weight and it looks all finished. Looks like butt, but that's okay because I'm gonna paint over it. It
Well,
doesn't matter.
it's a bit scribbly.
Yeah, like some of these you can hardly tell what's going on, but I know what's going on. And that's the important part because
Very important.
this isn't the final product. The final product can be a painting. So this is more or less just to like lay out for myself where all the stuff's gonna go, and then
Do you
I put
always
it in.
start with line art?
I don't always start with line. That's excellent question, sir.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you've asked that. You've started a valuable discussion about how. Uh, um, I'm just looking up some reference for pumpkins. But yeah, so it kind of depends on like what I feel like doing. If I don't have any ideas, but I know I just want to paint something, then I'll just go right in with paint and just start with value. But here I kind of had an idea of the elements that I wanted, and that's why laying out a few different thumbnails with lines was a good option in this scenario because, like I said, it allowed me to kind of move all the elements around, kind of test the waters to see how all those elements would interact with each other. Whereas when I'm just like painting straight up, it's kind of more of a raw and natural thing, and things just kind of go wherever. But when you're doing that, you can also change your subject matter on a dime. Because if you're just painting random values, you could be like, okay, I'm painting city, but now it's actually a boat, and now the boat is actually like a frog monster, which is actually a spaceship. Like you can just keep using those same values in that same composition and kind of play around with it. Where here I'm sort of doing the opposite. I know what I want to paint, but I'm trying to paint it different ways. But there are definitely some disadvantages to using line work. When you're just painting straight up, it's a lot easier to get the mood in right off the bat. And here, even though I have all the elements, I don't have the feeling. You know what I mean? I don't have those feels. Because that usually comes from the color and lighting, and those are things that come much later when you're doing the line work, when you're working in the smith. So you can't lay those in right off the bat. So I guess those are the two reasons why you'd either start with line work or just with painting. Is if it's more important to have the mood but less important about the design, then you'd want to just start with a painting. But here I was more concerned with like the way the shot was laid out and the design of the robot and things like that. So I started with a line drawing. Because it allowed me to kind of play with the forms instead of just the mood and the value. So yeah, this is also probably a little bit further than most of the line work I do, which I should probably do even more, because this is real ugly. But like you can see, I'm even trying to define some of the things that I wouldn't normally define. Like I'm getting in there and seeing like what the leg is shaped like and how that arm's wrapping around the pumpkin and things like that. Usually, I just kind of leave that as scribbles and paint over it, but here I decided that I should probably sort of decide what things are and what they're shaped like. I figured that'd be a good plan. There's like a little gas cap up there. I like that.
And will you eventually just paint over this or start a whole new painting?
Well, I sort of paint over it. You'll see. Because it's digital, you can do some kind of fun tricks like painting under it. So all the white parts you can just paint through, sort of, which is kind of nice. But yeah, eventually everything will be painted over. I don't start a new drawing. I'm already struggling with the hair here. The hair was a big dilemma. It's hard though. I mean,
I like
if you
the
say,
wisping hair.
yeah, maybe I should have kept that, but it didn't really work. And I ended up just going with straight hair eventually. I tried all kinds of things, but when you say, hey, draw any hairstyle, I just can't think of any hairstyle. I don't know what hair to put on there. I'm not that interested in hair. I just want to draw like robots and rocks and trees and stuff. I probably should be more interested in like figure drawing and stuff. But it's not really my strong suit. This figure is so out of proportion and wonky and stuff, but I just don't even care. It's good enough. You can tell that it's probably human shaped, and that's good enough for me right now. Eventually, I'll probably try to get more into figures and stuff, but I don't know. People are weird and lumpy. So that's the one that I'm gonna go with. And that was actually, oh dear. Yeah, there was some recording problems. Oh, why isn't it going? Okay, there it goes. Right, so you may have noticed that it's kind of cutting off most of the screen here. That was my bad. I fixed the issue, but not before the entire video was recorded like this. So we're just gonna watch the rest of it in this version. I feel like it really adds something to the artistic integrity of it, because like you don't know what's beyond the black border of the screen, and it really adds a sense of mystery.
Man, you could be a modern artist.
I could. I am a modern artist. So what I'm actually doing here is kind of taking the different elements of the painting and separating them out into layers. This is something that Shadi Safadi and Eitan Zana uses a lot, and it's nice to kind of make sure that your composition is really nice and graphical. I'm not quite as good as Shaddy or Xana, but I'm trying. I'm getting there.
So what's the advantage of doing
Um, Mostly it's just so you can see everything as a discrete shape, but also later on I'll be painting, and you can um, just paint within one layer and it won't go over the lines. So that's nice to keep everything a nice clean silhouette when you want it to. But in pretty much every painting, at the end of it, I'll collapse everything down and paint on one layer to make sure I get strokes that cross between those layers, because you can. It's really obvious when you see those really clearly defined layers and it looks
it?
really digital and weird. Now here I'm actually making a new brush just for this painting, which I might or might not keep. Unfortunately, recently I accidentally deleted every single one of my brushes, all of them. And that was like 3 years worth of work. So I'm just kind of making them up as I go. But it's good because now I know how to make better brushes than I used to know how to make. So yeah.
That's so sick.
It's alright. My new brushes are better anyway. Brush don't matter, Sarah. I should do a video about how to make brushes because I don't see a lot of them that actually talk about what the different settings do, like from an artsy perspective. There's a lot of Photoshop tutorials that are more like, well, more like what Photoshop's actually made for doing photos. But yeah, basically I made that head texture that's kind of the streaky lines, and this is a secondary brush head that's used with the dual brush dynamics in Photoshop. I'm sure this is all very interesting to you. That's what gives it kind of the grainy, patchy look. It's the combination of those two brush heads layered on top of each other, basically.
Cool.
And then I just kind of took the brush mess that I made and squinched it down over there onto the ground because, hey, why not? It was there, I might as well use it. It'd be nice if you could see a little bit more of the painting if it weren't obscured by massive black borders. Next time.
Next time.
I'll do better. So yeah, here I'm kind of laying in. You can see the pumpkins are getting nice kind of red on them. Sort of laying in some texture on the ground. The brush I made. Just working stuff, you know, like you do. Just putting the light side on one side, kind of dark side on the other side. That's not really how light works, except on DeviantArt tutorials. But yeah, I'm having the light source kind of come from a low angle, like it's a setting sun. You'll notice everything looks really bright compared to the final piece, and I changed the colors quite a bit near the end, which again is a disadvantage of working in line because I didn't have that mood set out from the outset, because I had to, like, separate out these layers and get everything a single color, and I probably should have picked the colors, like the flat colors, better than I did. But you still don't quite get that mood until you're all done, and so there's a lot of like correcting halfway through, at least with the way I paint. Like I said, people like Shaddy and Xana can just lay down these big blocky sheets of shapes, and then they're just like, bam, I'm gonna put some color on it, and it looks friggin' amazing. I don't understand. I probably just suck. There's also the big cloud in the background. I'm not actually sure. I guess that's supposed to be smoke, but it's not really like a big plume. Mostly, I just wanted a shape back there. And you know what, Sarah? When you're painting and you want a shape, just put the shape back there. Who cares what it is? They don't need to know. It's just a shape. It's a cool shape. I like that shape, so I'm putting it in. Screw all y'all.
Do you always work at one section at a time?
Not really. I mean, even here, I'm kind of, even though I'm only working on the foreground, I'm kind of trying to bounce around a bit. But what you bring up is probably a good critique of my workflow because, yeah, it's generally a good practice to bounce around the painting a lot more than I do. Which, again, is why at the end of the painting I keep auto-correcting, and not auto-correcting, but changing all the values around because I didn't do them right the first time. Gotta do better at that. Gotta do it good the first time instead of doing it crappy and then making it better.
I see.
Yeah, that's generally good advice. Do it real good the first time, and then you don't need to make it better later on because it's already awesome. You just need to make it a little bit more awesome. But I don't do that. I make it look. I mean, right now, just look at this. Just look at it. It's so bad. It's terrible. Oh, like there's lines everywhere. I don't even know how I rescued this painting because it was really bad. But yeah, Sarah, just persevere, follow your dreams, don't let anyone beat you down. Even when your painting's going bad, just remember, maybe the next brush stroke will save it. But but probably not. But sometimes, maybe.
I think I'll keep with my stick figures.
Stick figures are good. Those are. I bet I could argue that stick figures are the highest form of art, the highest form of artistic expression.
Huh, really?
I bet I could argue that given enough time.
Well, it's certainly minimalistic.
It's minimalistic and it's something that connects you to humanity because everyone can draw stick figures. It's almost pop art in its purest form. Stick figures.
Huh.
Go draw some. Feel good about yourself and know that you're contributing to art. I I was gonna finish out that sentence with something really cool, but then I couldn't think of anything, so then I didn't. See, in here, this is actually a pretty terrible design. If this was a design, 3D modelers would probably throw this back in my face and call me an idiot because there's just things everywhere. That's because this isn't a design, this is an illustration. So the things on there are just supposed to look good from this particular angle, but I don't even know what exactly is going on in there. There's just kind of mechanical bits sticking out.
They don't need an actual purpose.
Yeah. Unless you're going to hand it off to like a 3D modeler or someone, and then they'd prefer if they knew what was actually happening. That's
What was
usually,
useful?
yeah. I don't know. The outside form of the casing is kind of a shape, so that's good. But like, there's just a lot of details in there that are kind of hard to follow. This brush that I'm using right now, I really like. And again, it was one that I made after the destruction of all my other brushes, and I really like it a lot because when you press softly, not only does it get a little bit, it's not too opaque. Because some brushes you press softly and you can hardly see them. I don't like that, but this gets slightly more opaque, but also just a little bit softer because of the way I set the textures up. It doesn't fill the entire thing, so you don't get those really harsh digital lines that you get with just a straight round brush. I really like it.
That's
I should
cool.
probably release a new brush pack soon, but I don't quite have enough to warrant that kind of a thing yet.
Wait, you can like give other people your brushes?
Yes,
Oh.
I'm glad you brought that up. You can find my brushes, my previous two brush packs, on DeviantArt at deviantart.com/KUFAZ, I think. Kafaz, I think. Is that the way that works? I don't know.
Backslash?
The internet people can find them. They're good at the internet.
Do you get other people's brushes?
I've tried a lot of other people's brushes, but I end up always making my own, mostly because I'm stupid. I really probably should be using better brushes that I'm using, but I like making my own brushes. They feel more personal that way. So yeah,
Do you have to pay for brushes or are they free?
No, people give them out for free. So like Sergey Koleskov, or however you say his name, he has some really good brushes, as well as Zadig has some really good brushes. Look those up. um, Shaddy Safadi also has nice brushes.
Nice.
He even has some nice little tutorials that even go over exactly what his brushes do,
Oh.
which is very nice. I really like his tutorials because he kind of teaches the opposite way of Feng Zhu, which is nice to have kind of a perspective from going at it from both angles. Feng Zhu is very just like, I don't know, throw some colors down and make it work. Bam, do it in 5 minutes. Whereas Shaddy Fatty like talks about laying everything out and actually caring about what you're drawing and being very meticulous. And I don't think either of them are like completely right, but it's really good to have kind of both mentalities. So I think I fall somewhere in between. I'm not quite as laid out as Shaddy is, where I'm like meticulously going over each and every layer to make sure the shape is perfect before I just go in and start painting. But I'm also not nearly as like fluid as Feng Su. He just gets in there and slaps some stuff down and makes it work. Whatever he puts down. Yeah. But I tend to think that Feng Zhu's brushwork is is maybe not my favorite because of that, because he has a lot of extraneous textures and things that get left over from the brushstrokes.
Mm.
Whereas folks like Shaddy or Zadig or a lot of people like that have very uh, clean brushwork, which is nice. Where it's just like, I want this shape here, but bam, and then it's there. The exception to that rule, though, is Sergey Koleskov. I'm probably butchering that name. I'm gonna have the Russian mafia come after me. Because I've seen his paintings, and he just starts slapping stuff down, but then by the end of it, it looks so friggin' clean. I don't understand. That guy's an enigma.
You should befriend him.
I should befriend him. We could totally do collabs together, where he paints something really awesome, and then I make it look terrible.
Huh.
Yeah, so here I'm not really changing much. It's just like all small stuff, and I'm probably spending way too much time on all these fiddly little details without actually worrying about that whole background that isn't done, which again isn't the best practice. I should probably do better. I should do better at art. That's that's my goal for 2014 is to suck less at doing art.
We are in 2014.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean for the rest of it. And also 2015. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. See, look, I'm
Make it
confused.
darker.
I'm making part of it darker because I don't know what I'm doing. I should have done that first. I should have known which value was going to be, but no, I'm like, oh, it needs to be a little bit darker. What do I do now? I'm going to have to do something. And I did, but it sucks. So, yeah. Grays are really nice to use, especially if you're using really any time. Put some grays in there. It makes the colors look way more colorful. You make the entire thing really bright and colorful. It won't look like colorful. You gotta put some grays in there. And know how they work, because like you can make grays look like blues. You can make blues look like grays. You can you can do things with colors that are cool. If you don't like a color, just put another color in and see if you like it then. Because sometimes you will. It's not always about like color choice, as in like what what the whole material is gonna be. Sometimes it's like you can have a color that looks terrible, but then put other colors next to it and have it look really good. So just like try stuff, you know. Just put colors down. Just don't even care. I cared too much. I put that pumpkin. That's like way too orange. I should have put other colors in there. I should have just gone nuts, and I didn't go nuts enough. True facts.
It's kind of like fashion. Just put colors together.
It's kind of like fashion. Truer words have never been spoken. I really like putting those little panels in when I don't actually know what's going on. I just say, there's a panel over it. We'll cover that part up.
Little bolts
Yeah.
or those things.
Rivets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa. Something happened there. I didn't do that. I decided not to.
That's good. In what world would you use that feature?
So what you saw there and what I'm actually doing to other parts of the painting right now is using like a smudge tool, which is mostly just for edge control because you don't want everything in the painting be like super sharp. Well, sometimes you do, I guess.
Not for this particular
But
painting.
yeah, it's generally a well accepted practice to not have everything be super sharp. So that's what I use the smudge tool for. When I was first learning to paint, the smudge tool was like the forbidden fruit. You were never supposed to use the smudge tool because pretty much every beginner, the first thing that they'll do in Photoshop is pick up the smudge tool and just go nuts and just it's awful. It's it's just the worst. The overly smudge tooling everything and like picking a value that's like black but then smudging and smudging it and smudging it until it's gray. It's terrible. But but you can use the smudge tool tactfully in small amounts. Like even that big black shape, the back shape, the big white thing in the background. A lot of that was kind of smudge tooled out. That's why it's kind of blurry in some places and sharp in others. Because I used the smudge tool very deliberately. Where I wanted this specific shape. Bam! That's probably the best shape in the whole painting.
It is my shape.
I really like that shape. There is another Russian artist, and what is it with Russian artists? They're so awesome. They're so cool. I should just move to Russia.
Please don't.
I should raise my kids in Russia so that they will be great artists. But there's I don't even know his real name. His DeviantArt name is Rads, RHADS, and he just uses the smudge tool like all the time, and it's amazing what he does with the smudge tool. Someone never told him that he wasn't supposed to use it, and so he just used it until he made it awesome. That's what you do. Good art is just bad art done really well. That's seriously my theory though. Like Van Gogh, that's bad art. Like he's, an art critic would, tell him, "Oh, you're not using brush strokes right. You're using too many brush strokes. They're not big enough. You're using color wrong. You're not drawing things right." He did really terrible art really, really well to the point where it was good art. That's all good art is.
That's very funny. Well, yeah, I suppose everyone thought Monet's art was bad.
Yeah. Well, it also brings up like what is art, and I don't know. Because now good art is like modernism and postmodernism, and
It's like a
that's
black canvas.
well, it's not something I really get into. I think it's cool people who do like that's cool, but I'm not really into that. So like, is what I do arts? Probably not. A lot of people would say no. You do realist painting. That's not art. Real art is hanging up a string of Christmas lights on a podium
Having one thing done.
and talking about how it represents the human condition and feminism. But I don't care. I like painting.
Oh, she got a sunburn.
Yeah, she's a little red. But it's also partially because the entire painting's red, so it kind of, yeah, it looks really red right now. Once I put some other colors in there, it looks a little better. But yeah, she's pretty red.
She's just out in the sun too long.
She is. She's been picking pumpkins with her little robot. friend. See, I was thinking like this robot is kind of like, I'm not thinking the robot's like her friend, but it's kind of like how you'd name a tractor that
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of fond of. She's kind of fond of this thing, but like it's just a piece of machinery that was made for a very specific use to pick up pumpkins, and that's what they're using it for. I'm not sure why it needs a hat because you wouldn't think that it would really need the shade. I mean, if they built a robot to the point where it was bothered by heat, you'd think they would just take that feature out. But
It's
I
kind
don't.
of like putting eyelashes on a car.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
She gave her robot a hat because she likes her
Exactly.
robot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of noodling a lot in there. Yeah, this is probably the least interesting part because pretty much the whole painting's been done, and right now I'm just kind of adding little bits. There added some more of that like dirty brass plates down there to define the hand. And here comes the hair. Oh, the hair. I I don't know what's going on. I see that one. Yeah, I was really struggling with the hair. So then I just decided maybe I'll draw the face first, kind of like lay it in, and then maybe the hair will just come to me. And it didn't, but I drew something anyway. And then yeah, there's the afro. I think that could have been cool. That could have worked. There's the um, who is he?
Dragon Ball Z here.
Yeah, but it looks more like what's his name? He's kind of like he was buds with Ashley Wood back in the day. He made Sparrow. You wouldn't know him. Phil Hale. A lot of his characters had like really cool graphical spiky hair that looks like he just knocked over his paint pot and just made a big splash. It looked awesome. Phil Hale was cool. He's like not that. It's hard to find Phil Hale stuff
Is he
in like
dead?
any kind of quality. No, I don't think so. I don't know. No one knows. He's just sort of evasive. There's a better
Hmm.
word for that. Elusive. That's what I was looking for. People have tried to get him to join like conceptart.org because people like other people know him and they're like, yeah, Phil Hale said such and such. And like, why don't you tell him to join conceptart.org? And he's like, no, he doesn't want to.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's a bummer.
I don't know. He's probably a weirdo. So yeah,
Looking good.
I don't know about that hair. What do you think of that hair? You have any comments about that hair? If you
Um,
saw that person, like, would you be like, wow, that's the worst hair?
I have to say the hair reminds me a bit of Edna from Incredibles. The Incredibles.
I don't actually know who that is. I
Um,
know, I know what The Incredibles is,
um,
but I
she
probably
has
should.
that kind of hair. She has big glasses.
Wait, is she? Oh, like the nanny person? It's been a
Um,
while since I've seen that movie.
no, oh, okay.
Here I'm just adding like little flakes of paint,
This is
just
Edna.
as like. Okay, I do not remember her at all.
She was the one who made their outfits.
Okay, I think I only saw that movie once.
Okay, well, she's the Incredibles outfit designer.
See here, look at that. Look at those are like paint flakes,
Oh,
for no
that's
particular
cool.
reason other than it kind of adds a subtle
Makes it
little
look cool.
texture. Yeah,
Huh.
it looks cool. Screw you. I can have whatever shape I want in there. There I was messing with colors. They got weird for a little minute, and then they didn't. Then they went back.
Looks good.
Yeah, thanks. I thought it turned out okay.
I think it's
I
beautiful.
think it, right now, I think it turned out okay. And then in like a week, I'm gonna be like, man, what is this crap? Why did I record this? It's like recording an hour of me just taking a dump onto the canvas. Oh, there I fixed. Her arm was looking a little weird, and now
Oh.
it still looks. I don't draw people well. Then again,
Well, why does she have a shiny elbow?
I don't know. It's just my style, Sarah.
Oh.
It can't be wrong because it's my style.
Like people to have oddly colored elbows.
Yes, that was very important to the integrity of the piece. Oh, there I'm sharpening. As you can see, that's sped up 500%. It takes a while to sharpen. Actually, that's because I have GPU acceleration turned off, which weirdly enough speeds up uh, brush brush strokes
Hmm.
by a significant amount.
Interesting.
It's weird. I guess it just uses different parts, and for whatever reason, whatever accelerates the brushes in the GPU is crap.
Hmm.
But most of the things other than sharpening and blurring that use the GPU are things like zoom animations, which I turn off anyway, because the stupid zoom animations you can be at like weird percentages, and I always prefer to be at um, uh, multiples of two. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but basically there are certain zoom levels that look really nice, and everything in between there looks really terrible. So if you have zoom animations on and it zooms smoothly, you're gonna get like a lot of really weird and blurry stuff, especially when you're working with like text. Oh, that was it. That was the painting.
The end.
The end. That's how I done painted it. TM.
What does TM stand for?
Trademark.
Oh, right.
That means no one can use it. Because I said so. Because I said the word. Because I said TM.
Oh.
So now no one else can use that.
Huh.